ETHOS.
Right now, the current political debate in America for the moment is on the subject of critical race theory. We're not going to get into that on this podcast because it's not a political show, but this is one about fostering creativity and how to accomplish your goals to get results. And I think a lot of the political debates that go on, there's not a lot of critical thinking that happens for individuals. We end up fighting about things that we haven't really thought deeply about. On today's episode, I really want to explore how we can critically think and use our own powers of observation and intuition to analyze our own thinking and get clear about what it is we really want. Welcome to the Creative Coach Cast. I'm Paul Goldsmith, an entrepreneur and creative coach on the show committed to helping you transform your creative ideas into a reality. I don't share many memes, but the other day, there was one that was just too good to not share. It was one of the rapper Snoop Dogg smugly glaring, and then the caption read, "Me, 2 minutes after my phone dies, judging people for being on their phones all the time." And I shared it because it was very relatable. On the rare occasion I don't have my phone with me, I've noticed being more judgmental about those around me on the phone, or when I'm driving and my passenger, usually happens to be my wife, is on her phone, I catch myself getting annoyed, and I realize that I'm usually the one holding the phone, and it occurs to me that we're quick to judge others who are not in our particular situation, but how often do we stop and think about our own motivations for our behaviors? There's a great quote from Marcus Aurelius that says, "Whenever you're about to find fault with someone, ask yourself the following question: what fault of mine most nearly resembles the one I am about to criticize?" Hits a little close to home. We're all bombarded with information every day, and so we couldn't possibly stop and critically think about each input. So we have to rely on our own experience to make snap judgments. But many times, misinformation gets confirmed, and we go on basing our decisions on poor assumptions. So I think it's important we ask, really in all aspects of life, before we engage in the next debate of ideas or buy something or set a goal, that we critically think about why we believe what we believe and why we're making that choice. Is it actually our choice? There's a funny story that often gets told around Thanksgiving. There was a family that always cut their turkey in half before roasting it. And a little boy asked his mom, "Why do we cut the turkey in half?" And she said, "I don't know. That's the way my mom always did it." And so they asked Grandma why they cut the turkey in half. And she said, "I don't know. That's just the way my mom always served it." And so they went to the great-grandmother and asked. And she said when she got married, they were given a pot that was too small to hold a full turkey. So they always cut it in half to fit. And it passed down 4 generations because no one questioned why it is they did it that way. And that's all I'm talking about. Don't let someone else set the agenda for your creative goals. You have to decide what works for you and your life. Since I've stopped watching the news and significantly cut back on my online news consumption, I do find it interesting how many times I catch myself saying to a friend, "Is that really true?" when they tell me about the latest thing they've heard on the news. Realize the news business is first and foremost a business. It's infotainment. It doesn't have to be true. When you hear something, do you ever stop to ask yourself, is this relevant to me and my life? Beyond the news, everything we read, watch, or listen to, even the Creative Coach Cast, it's someone else's creation. It may or may not apply to your situation. It's someone else's opinion. That reminds me of an old episode of The Practice legal drama. There was a quirky judge who required all the lawyers arguing before him to preface each one of their arguments with, "in my opinion." So they might say, "Objection, Your Honor," and then he would just clear his throat, and they would have to say, "In my opinion, objection, Your Honor." You know, that really stuck with me, that it might be helpful to all of us to use that filter for everything that we consume. In their opinion, that's true, but what is true for me? And what do I notice? Does this work for my life? And so when you're setting those creative goals, you get to choose your own adventure here. It's not for anyone else to decide. In my case, I've had the idea for a radio station that played popular music that was inspiring and positive, and everyone in the radio industry I told said, "Hey, that's a good idea. It'll never work." And so eventually I just decided that that's okay. That's their opinion. I'm going to give this a go. And I shared a little bit about that last time. If you have an idea or maybe a contribution for the Ethos Radio project, I would love that. Otherwise, if I can help you with your creative idea and making that a reality, that's what I do. You can text me on the Creative Coach Hotline, 559-574-3210. And the offer still stands. If you are able to make a review of this podcast, then send me a screenshot of your review on either Instagram or Twitter. I'm at Paul J. Goldsmith, and I would be delighted to send you your very own 5-minute journal as a way of saying thank you for listening and reviewing the Creative Coach Cast so that others can find it. Thanks for listening. We'll talk soon.